Chapter 1. The Human Beneath the Palace. Princess Varesi Tainenhal first met Nilo Sarin while falling through the royal palace. It was not a metaphor. The eastern wing of the Palace of Nine Horizons hung beneath the floating city of Ithkala like a silver chandelier. Its gardens, ceremonial chambers, and diplomatic halls extended downward through the clouds of the gas giant Velith. The palace remained aloft through gravitic suspension fields calibrated so precisely that a drinking vessel could remain motionless in the air for centuries. On the morning Varesi met the human, those fields failed. She had been walking through the Garden of Ancestral Rain with 6 royal attendants, 2 historians, and Captain Eshek Varrock of the Palace Guard. The garden occupied a transparent chamber beneath the city. Artificial rain fell upward from pools in the floor. Silver-leafed trees grew from suspended islands of black soil. Above them, visible through the glass, Ithkala's towers rose toward the pale rings of Velith. Varesi had always loved the garden. It was one of the few places where the emotional light of the court could not overwhelm her. The Ithkari did not conceal feeling well. Bioluminescent bands flowed beneath their translucent skin. Calm glowed blue along the throat. Embarrassment kindled violet across the cheeks. Anger appeared as white lines down the arms. Fear turned the abdomen dark. The royal family wore ceremonial veils partly for dignity and partly because politics became difficult when everyone could see one another's irritation. Varesi's veil was woven from thin strands of amber crystal. It did nothing to hide her boredom. "Your Highness," historian Ajran Tal said, "the Western Irrigation Island was presented to your ancestor during the unification of the 7 cloud clans." "Yes, the island symbolizes." The floor vanished. One instant, Varesi stood beneath an upward waterfall. The next, the garden's gravity shifted sideways. Trees tore free from their suspension fields. Water crossed the chamber in a glittering wall. Attendants screamed. Varesi struck the glass floor, slid across it, and disappeared over the edge of a shattered soil platform. The clouds of Velith opened beneath her. She fell, her ceremonial veil tore away. Wind pulled the breath from her lungs. The palace rotated above her, silver towers turning against the violet sky. Varesi reached for the emergency field generator at her waist. It did not activate. Sabotage, she thought, not failure. The realization arrived with remarkable calm. Then someone fell past her. A human, he wore a gray maintenance suit and carried a tool bag strapped across his chest. His dark hair whipped around his face. A streak of red marked one temple. He looked at Varesi, then at the clouds beneath them. "This seems bad," he said. Varesi's translator rendered the words faithfully. She stared at him. The human twisted in the air and fired a cable launcher toward the palace. The magnetic anchor struck the underside of a support beam. The cable snapped tight. The human caught Varesi around the waist. The sudden change in direction nearly tore both of them apart. They swung beneath the palace. Varesi struck his shoulder. The human made a sound that her translator classified as a profanity. The cable groaned. Above them, pieces of the garden continued falling. An artificial tree passed close enough for its silver leaves to cut the human's cheek. Varesi looked down. Velith had no solid surface. The gas giant's atmosphere deepened beneath them for thousands of kilometers, until pressure and heat would crush anything that survived the descent. The human examined the cable unit. Its housing had cracked. "This is rated for 1 Terran. I am lighter than a Terran." "That is excellent news." The cable slipped 5 centimeters. Varesi's skin darkened with fear. The human noticed. "Don't do that." "Do what?" "The glowing. I cannot control it." "You're making me nervous." "You are already nervous." "Yes, but I was hiding it." The cable slipped again. Above them, the palace's emergency fields began restarting one section at a time. The nearest stable platform remained 12 meters away. The human reached into his tool bag. He removed a compact explosive bolt. Varesi stared. "What are you doing?" "Improvising." "You are holding an explosive." "That's why it may work." "What may work?" He attached the bolt to the cable housing. Varesi's fear bands spread across her abdomen. The human glanced at them. "Please stop reviewing the plan with your skin." "You have not explained the plan." "I know." He adjusted their swing. The platform approached. Too far, the cable would not carry them. The human pressed the bolt trigger. The explosion severed the housing. For one terrible instant, they were falling again. Then momentum carried them sideways. They struck the platform. The human hit first. Varesi landed on top of him. Air left his lungs in a sharp grunt. The broken platform tilted beneath their combined weight. Veresi rolled toward the edge. The human caught her wrist. His fingers closed around her with surprising strength. He pulled her back. Emergency gravity returned. Both of them dropped flat against the platform. For several seconds, neither moved. Rain fell upward around them. Soil drifted through the chamber. Veresi listened to the human breathe, fast, uneven, alive. Captain Eshek Varrock reached them with 3 guards. His armor lights flashed white with alarm. "Your Highness." "I am uninjured." The captain looked toward the blood on her formal robes. "Mostly," she corrected. The human remained on his back. Eshek pointed a weapon at him. "Release the princess." The human looked down. He still held Veresi's wrist. He let go. "Sorry." Eshek's throat glowed white. "How did you gain access to the royal garden?" "I fell into it." "You were already present before the field failure." "I was underneath it." "Why?" The human raised his damaged tool bag. "Your palace has a coolant leak." Veresi sat upright. The human's face remained unreadable. Humans had no visible emotional bands. Their skin changed slightly with blood flow, but compared with the Ithkari, they seemed almost blank. Only their eyes betrayed them. This human's eyes were dark brown. They looked tired, amused, and more frightened than his voice had suggested. Veresi stood. "What is your name?" He struggled to his feet. "Nilo Sarin." "Your title?" "Junior Systems Contractor." Captain Eshek examined him. "You are a military officer." Nilo looked at his maintenance suit. "Not today." Eshek's weapon remained raised. Veresi stepped between them. "He saved my life." "That does not explain his presence." "It explains why you will lower the weapon." The captain obeyed, reluctantly. Nilo picked up the remains of his cable launcher. Veresi looked toward the damaged gravity nodes. "Was this an accident?" The human followed her gaze. "No." Eshek turned. "You know that." Nilo pointed toward a support column. A maintenance panel had been removed and replaced. The safety interlocks were bypassed manually. The captain's light bands sharpened. "By whom?" "No idea." Nilo lifted a severed control filament. "But whoever did it expected everyone to look at the gravity system." Veresi studied him. "And what should we look at?" "The coolant leak." Silence followed. Nilo walked toward the shattered garden entrance. Eshek blocked him. The human sighed. "The coolant conduit runs behind the palace communication spine. Someone opened it to create a reason for maintenance crews to enter restricted infrastructure." "You entered?" "Yes." "Then you are a suspect." "That seems unfair." "It is logical." "Those are not the same thing." Veresi's cheek bands flickered violet before she could suppress them. The human looked at her. "Was that amusement?" "No." "Your face says otherwise." "My face says nothing." "Your entire species appears to have subtitles." Captain Eshek stepped closer. Nilo raised both hands. "Respectfully." Veresi looked toward the palace. Emergency doors sealed across the upper galleries. Security teams moved through the damaged garden. Somewhere inside the royal city, an assassin had attempted to kill her. The court would react with ritual, investigations, accusations. Political factions would use the attack against one another. The human contractor had seen something everyone else missed. "Nilo Sarin," Veresi said, "you will accompany Captain Varrock." Nilo looked at the captain. "Am I under arrest?" "Yes," Eshek said. Veresi corrected him. "No." The captain's throat light flared. "Your Highness." "He is a witness." Nilo pointed between them. "Does that involve a cell?" Veresi considered. "Probably." "Human diplomacy warned me royal employment could be confusing." "You are not employed by the royal family." "Then I'm doing remarkably badly for free." Veresi's cheeks turned violet again. This time Nilo smiled. Hours later, she would learn that the coolant leak concealed an intrusion device attached to the palace communication spine. She would learn that 3 royal security codes had been copied. She would learn that the gravity failure had been intended to kill her while disguising the true target. She would also learn that junior systems contractor Nilo Sarin had no authorization to inspect the palace coolant network. He had entered because he heard a pump making what he described as an expensive noise. The royal court considered this explanation absurd. Varesi believed him immediately. She did not yet know that humans often changed history because something sounded wrong. She also did not know that Nilo Sarin had a mother. This ignorance would eventually become a diplomatic incident. Chapter 2. A Man Without a Color. Nilo spent 3 days in palace custody. He did not seem particularly troubled by it. Varesi found him in a guest detention room overlooking Velith's rings. The chamber was designed for political prisoners of high status. Its walls were carved from pale crystal. A sleeping platform floated near the window. Meals arrived through a silent service hatch. Nilo sat on the floor. The palace had provided a chair. He had taken it apart. Its pieces lay around him in neat rows. Varesi stopped in the doorway. "Why have you dismantled the furniture?" Nilo looked up. It was humming. Chairs do not hum. This one did. He lifted a small gravitic stabilizer from beneath the seat. The component emitted a faint vibration. Varesi heard nothing. Nilo tapped it. The hum stopped. "There. You damaged royal property." "I repaired it." "You removed half of it." "That was the part causing the problem." Varesi entered. Captain Eshek remained outside with the guards. Nilo began reassembling the chair. His fingers moved quickly. Human hands fascinated Varesi. The Ithkari possessed 4 long digits on each hand, connected by thin membranes useful for gliding in low gravity. Human fingers were shorter, separate, and astonishingly dexterous. Humans lacked natural armor, flight membranes, thermal tolerance, and chemical defenses. In compensation, they appeared able to open anything. "The investigation has confirmed your account," Varesi said. "Good. You bypassed 3 security restrictions. They were poorly designed. You accessed a royal communication conduit. It was leaking coolant. You carried an explosive device. I'm an engineer." Varesi waited. Nilo looked up. "That answer usually works on human stations." "It does not work here." "I've noticed." The final chair component clicked into place. Nilo sat on it. The chair remained silent. "Am I free?" "You are no longer under suspicion." "That isn't an answer." "No." Nilo leaned back. "Still confusing." Varesi's throat glowed blue with forced calm. "The attack copied 3 palace codes. We have not determined who received them." "Someone outside the palace." "How do you know?" "The intrusion device recorded transmission strength. Short-range beam." It went upward. "To the docking platforms." "Probably." Eshek entered. "We searched every vessel present during the attack." Nilo looked toward him. "Did you search the things that weren't vessels?" The captain's skin flashed white. "Explain." "Cargo maintenance pods, ceremonial platforms, waste containers. The docking system monitors all departures." "Does it monitor falling objects?" The room became still. Varesi looked through the window. Ithkala floated above the gas giant. Below the city lay thousands of kilometers of violent atmosphere. Anything dropped from the palace would vanish into the clouds, unless something waited beneath. Nilo stood. The copied codes were stored in a physical device. Eshek nodded. Then it didn't need to transmit out. "It could have been dropped." The captain opened his communicator. Security teams began scanning the palace's lower hull. They found the retrieval drone 20 minutes later, magnetically attached beneath a drainage vein. Nilo was released immediately. Varesi expected him to return to the human delegation. Instead, he requested permission to finish repairing the coolant pump. "You nearly died because of that pump," she said. "Yes." "And you intend to return?" "It still makes the noise." Varesi watched him leave. "Are all humans like this?" she asked. Captain Eshek's throat light dimmed. "I sincerely hope not." Over the next 4 weeks, Varesi encountered Nilo everywhere. He repaired a door in the Western Archive. He recalibrated atmospheric controls in the diplomatic wing. He argued with a palace architect about the location of emergency exits. He appeared inside the royal kitchens, because one of the refrigeration units had started clicking with malicious intent. No one knew why the human embassy kept assigning a junior contractor to sensitive locations. The embassy claimed Nilo volunteered. Nilo claimed people kept finding him. Varesi suspected both were true. Their conversations began accidentally, then continued deliberately. The princess had lived her entire life surrounded by people who knew exactly how to speak to royalty. They bowed at the correct angle. They used the proper titles. They never interrupted. They never admitted boredom. Nilo called the Palace of Nine Horizons the chandelier. He described one ceremonial corridor as an expensive way to avoid going directly upstairs. He refused to bow because the human spine, he explained, was designed by a committee with unresolved grievances. Veresi should have found him disrespectful. Instead, she found him restful. Human faces required attention. Without emotional light, she had to listen to tone, watch the eyes, and interpret tiny movements. At first, Nilo seemed hidden. Later, she realized humans were not hidden at all. They simply expressed themselves in details. The tightening of a jaw, a glance toward an exit, the stillness that arrived before anger, the half-smile that meant a joke had not yet been spoken. Humans carried their emotions beneath the surface, like fire under stone. Nilo taught Veresi how to read some of them. In return, she taught him Ithkari light. "Blue is calm," he said one evening. They sat on a maintenance balcony beneath the palace. Velith's clouds rolled below them, enormous and silent. Usually. Violet is embarrassment. Or amusement. White is anger. Or intense concentration. Gold. Veresi's throat bands shifted. Affection. Nilo looked at her. The light faded immediately. "Interesting," he said. "What color are humans when affectionate?" "Depends on the human. That is not useful. We blush. You become red. Sometimes. Like inflammation. Romance is rarely dignified." Veresi looked toward the rings. An arranged union waited in her future. The royal council favored Prince Regent Karos Ventor of the Arun Compact. He was wealthy, politically secure, and capable of speaking for hours without expressing a single original thought. The marriage would stabilize 3 trade corridors. It would also make Veresi miserable. She had not told Nilo. She did not know why she wanted to. "Do humans arrange political pairings?" she asked. "Historically, constantly. And now. Still happens. We usually give it less honest names." "Would you accept one?" "No." You answered quickly. "I've met politicians." Veresi's cheeks turned violet. Nilo smiled. Then the palace alarm sounded, not security, incoming fleet. Veresi stood. A formation of ships emerged above Ithkala. Their hulls carried the gray sunburst of the Terran Union. At their center traveled a human command cruiser. It was black, narrow, and scarred along one side. The vessel's name appeared across the palace display. UNS Daughter of Ash. Captain Eshek entered the balcony. "Your Highness, the Terran delegation has arrived for the defense summit." "Who commands them?" Eshek consulted the display. "Grand Admiral Berenice Sarin." Nilo's expression changed, only slightly. His shoulders tightened, his mouth flattened. Veresi recognized the signs now. "Do you know her?" she asked. Nilo looked toward the black cruiser. "Unfortunately." Before Veresi could ask more, his communicator activated. A human message appeared. Nilo read it, then closed his eyes. "What does it say?" Veresi asked. He placed the communicator in his pocket. "Nothing important." The message had contained 4 words. "You missed my birthday." Chapter 3. The Woman Among the Winter Trees. Grand Admiral Berenice Sarin did not attend the first day of the defense summit. Officially, she remained aboard the Daughter of Ash reviewing fleet deployments. Unofficially, half the royal court believed the admiral was making a political statement. Veresi did not care. The summit had become an endurance ritual. Representatives debated the expanding threat along the rimward corridor. Colony ships had disappeared. Unidentified weapons had struck 3 relay stations. The Arun Compact demanded control of joint defenses. Prince Regent Karos Ventor spoke for nearly an hour about coordinated strategic dignity. Nilo later translated this as, "Give him everyone's ships." By evening, Veresi escaped to the palace winter garden. The garden had been constructed for species from cold worlds. White trees grew beneath a transparent ceiling. Their leaves resembled feathers carved from ice. Frost covered the stone paths. Pale flowers opened only when footsteps disturbed the frozen soil. Veresi's breath misted before her. The quiet felt honest. A human woman stood beneath one of the trees. She wore a dark civilian coat and heavy boots. Silver threaded her black hair, which had been gathered in a loose knot. She carried pruning shears in one hand. Veresi stopped. The palace employed human horticultural advisors for the winter garden. This woman appeared old enough to be senior staff. She was cutting dead branches from a frost tree. "You should not remove those," Veresi said. The human glanced over. "Why? They are part of the tree's winter cycle. They're infected." Veresi approached. A faint gray pattern marked the exposed wood. She had not noticed it. The human removed the branch and sealed the cut with a small torch. "There," she said. "You are a gardener." "Today." The answer reminded Veresi of Nilo. She studied the woman's face. Humans inherited visible traits, but Veresi possessed little experience distinguishing them. The woman's eyes were dark, so were those of billions of humans. Her voice carried the same dry calm as Nilo's. Veresi did not recognize the connection. The woman returned to pruning. "You're the princess." Veresi's throat light turned blue. "You do not bow." "My knees have strong political opinions." Veresi stared. The woman smiled. The expression made her look younger. "Berenice," she said. "Veresi." "I know." The princess should have corrected the familiarity. She did not. Berenice continued along the path, examining branches. Veresi followed. "Are you attached to the human delegation?" "Very." "Have you met Grand Admiral Sauron?" "Frequently." "What is she like?" Berenice considered. "Difficult." "Arrogant." "Sometimes." "Dangerous." "When necessary." The court says she has destroyed more warships than any living human commander. The court exaggerates. "How many?" "Enough." Veresi's cheekbands flickered violet. The human noticed. Amusement. "Yes. I'm learning." They reached a stone bench overlooking a frozen pond. Beneath the ice, silver creatures moved in slow spirals. Berenice sat. Veresi remained standing. "Humans speak differently from court delegates," the princess said. "That sounds like a compliment." It was an observation. "Those are safer." Veresi looked toward the winter trees. "I know another human." Berenice's face remained still. "Oh, he works in palace maintenance." "How unfortunate." "He saved my life." "Less unfortunate." "He is intelligent." "Dangerous condition." "He is disrespectful." "Tragic." "He makes jokes when frightened." Berenice looked toward the frozen pond. "Some humans do that." Veresi's throat light shifted gold. Only faintly. The woman saw it. Her expression changed, though Veresi could not interpret how. "You like him," Berenice said. The princess's cheeks blazed violet. "I did not say that." "Your species did." Veresi turned away. "This conversation is inappropriate." "Most useful ones are." The princess should have left. Instead, she sat beside the human. The confession came slowly. Nilo made her feel ordinary, not unimportant, unobserved. Around him, she did not have to carry the future of the Ithkari in every sentence. She could complain about architecture. She could ask foolish questions. She could laugh. Berenice listened without interruption. That alone made Veresi continue. "The Royal Council expects me to accept Prince Regent Karos." "Do you love him?" "No." "Do you like him?" "No." "Does anyone?" His staff appear disciplined. "That bad?" Veresi's violet light intensified. Berenice rested the pruning shears across one knee. "What does your human think?" "He does not know." "Why not?" "I am a princess." "I had noticed." "My choices affect worlds." "So do everyone's. Yours are simply televised." Veresi looked at her. "You believe I should refuse." "I believe you should decide what cost you can live with." "That is not comforting." "Good advice rarely is." The frozen trees clicked softly in the artificial wind. Veresi watched a pale flower open near Berenice's boot. "What if the human does not feel as I do?" "Then you survive embarrassment." "You consider that simple." "No, I consider it survivable." "What if he does?" Berenice's mouth curved. "Then his life becomes complicated." Veresi's gold light brightened. "Is this amusing to you?" "More than you know." The princess narrowed her eyes. "You speak as though you know him." I know his type. What type? Men who repair things to avoid discussing themselves. Veresi thought of Nilo dismantling the humming chair. That is accurate. It usually is. Footsteps approached. A human security officer appeared at the end of the path. She wore fleet insignia and looked deeply anxious. Admiral. Veresi turned toward her. The officer looked past the princess. At Berenice, fleet command requires you. The woman stood. Veresi stared. You are Grand Admiral Sarin. Berenice picked up the pruning shears. On difficult days. Veresi rose too quickly. Her skin flashed violet, white, and blue in uncontrolled bands. I spoke to you about. A maintenance worker. You allowed me to believe you were a gardener. I was gardening. You did not correct me. You did not ask my family name. Veresi looked toward the officer, then back at Berenice. Mortification burned beneath her skin. The admiral touched her arm gently. Your secret is safe. From whom? Berenice's eyes gleamed, for the moment. She walked away with the security officer. Veresi remained beneath the winter trees. She had confessed her feelings for a human contractor to the most powerful military commander in the Terran Union. The situation could not become more humiliating. She was mistaken. Chapter 4. The Son of the Admiral. The attack began during the summit's second session. Prince Regent Karos was speaking. That delayed the response by several seconds because most delegates assumed the first explosion was part of his presentation. The Western defense platform vanished in a sphere of orange light. The palace shook. Emergency shutters slammed across the chamber windows. Veresi fell against the royal table. Nilo caught her before she struck the floor. He wore a formal human suit instead of maintenance clothes and appeared deeply uncomfortable in it. Are you hurt? No. Good. A second impact struck Ithkala. The floating city tilted. Alien delegates shouted. The ceiling's gravitic chandeliers broke free and crashed upward. Captain Eshek Varrock drew his weapon. Royal Guard form on the princess. The summit display filled with hostile contacts. Dozens, then hundreds. Ships emerged inside the defense perimeter using the stolen palace codes. The attack in the gravity garden had never been intended to assassinate Veresi. It had been preparation. Chancellor Amirkale rose from the Arun delegation. His ceremonial robes fell away. Armor waited beneath them. Secure the royal family. Arun soldiers opened fire. The summit chamber became a battlefield. Nilo shoved Veresi behind the human table. Energy pulses struck its armored underside. Veresi looked at him. You brought a weapon. Nilo drew a compact pistol from inside his formal coat. I know diplomats. Across the chamber, Berenice Sarin stood without cover. Arun's soldiers moved toward her. The admiral removed a thin metal pin from her hair. The pin unfolded into a blade. She caught the first attacker beneath the arm, turned, took his rifle, shot the second. The third reached her. Berenice struck his knee, drove the rifle into his throat, and pushed him across the table. Nilo watched. Show off. Veresi looked between them. You speak as though. Later. Nilo fired over the table. Captain Eshek reached them. The eastern exits are compromised. Nilo pointed toward the floor. Maintenance conduit. That route does not appear on palace plans. Exactly. They moved. Nilo kicked open a service panel beneath the royal platform. Veresi entered first. The conduit was narrow, dark, and filled with cables. Nilo followed. Captain Eshek sealed the opening behind them. Gunfire struck the panel. They crawled beneath the summit chamber while the palace trembled. Veresi's throat light flickered white. The Arun fleet has our defense codes. Looks that way. Prince Regent Karos knew. Probably. I was expected to marry him. Nilo glanced back. Your court has terrible judgment. Veresi almost laughed. Then a blast tore open the conduit behind them. Captain Eshek fired into the breach. Move. They reached a vertical maintenance shaft. Nilo attached a magnetic line. Veresi looked down. The shaft extended through 3 palace levels. You expect me to climb? No. He activated the line. It lowered them rapidly, too rapidly. Veresi clung to him. Nilo looked down at her arms around his chest. Your Highness. Speak, and I will have you executed. Understood. They reached the lower communications level. Human Marines waited there. Their commander, Colonel Seraphine Adu, saluted Varesi and looked toward Nilo. "Your mother wants you aboard the command cruiser." Varesi stopped. Nilo closed his eyes. Captain Eshek's light bands changed. "Your mother." Nilo glared at Colonel Adu. "Was that necessary?" "No." The colonel's expression remained perfectly neutral. "That's why I said it." Varesi looked at Nilo, then at the tactical insignia on the Marines, then toward the upper palace where Grand Admiral Berenice Sarin was currently fighting a coup with a hair ornament. "Sarin," Varesi said. "Yes." "Grand Admiral Berenice Sarin." "Yes." "The woman in the Winter Garden." Nilo frowned. "What Winter Garden?" Varesi's entire body turned violet. Colonel Adu suddenly became fascinated by the wall. Captain Eshek's throat gave a quiet clicking sound. Varesi had never heard him laugh before. Nilo stared at her. "You met my mother." "Yes." "What did she say?" "Nothing." The violet deepened. Nilo's eyes narrowed. "What did you say?" "Nothing." "Your skin is shouting." The palace shook again. Colonel Adu cleared her throat. "Family catastrophe later, military catastrophe now." The Marines led them toward an armored shuttle docked beneath the palace. Above Ithkala, battle filled the sky. Arun warships surrounded the city. The stolen defense network fired upon loyal Ithkari vessels. The Terran fleet remained beyond the outer ring, unable to approach without being targeted by Ithkala's own weapons. Berenice appeared on the shuttle display. Blood marked one cheek. Her civilian coat had been replaced by black command armor. "Nilo." "Mum." Varesi's translator repeated the word. "Mum," a private human kinship term. Berenice looked toward Varesi. The admiral's expression remained controlled. "Her eyes did not, Princess." "Admirals." Nilo looked between them. "What happened in the Winter Garden?" "Nothing," both women said. Nilo became very still. "We are returning to that." Berenice ignored him. "The Arun have control of the palace defenses. Chancellor Amir intends to force the Royal Council to recognize Kairos as regent." "My parents," Varesi asked, "alive, confined in the central sanctuary." "How do you know?" "A palace gardener told us." Varesi stared. Berenice continued. "The Terran fleet can enter if the inner batteries are disabled." Nilo looked toward the maintenance schematic. "I can access the defense spine from the atmospheric ballast deck." "It will be guarded." "Yes." "You are a civilian contractor." "Today." Berenice's jaw tightened. The mother appeared for 1 second beneath the admiral. "No." Nilo looked at her. "You need the batteries down." "I have teams." "None know the palace systems." "You do not know them." "I know what noises they make." Berenice closed her eyes briefly. Varesi understood. The most powerful human commander in the system had just encountered a force she could not order into obedience. Her child. "I am coming with him," Varesi said. Nilo turned. "No." Berenice also said no. Varesi's arms lit white. "This is my palace." "It is an active combat zone," Berenice said. "My people are inside it." Nilo stepped closer. "You are the primary political target." "Which means every guard will look at me." He understood. "You want to be a distraction." "I prefer symbol." "That's a royal word for distraction." Berenice studied Varesi through the display. For a moment, neither woman spoke. Then the admiral nodded. "Colonel Adu accompanies you." "Mum." "That part is not negotiable." Nilo muttered something the translator declined to reproduce. Varesi looked at him. He resembled Berenice now, not in obvious features, in the controlled irritation. The refusal to abandon a necessary task, the instinct to protect by moving closer to danger. "How did I not realize?" Varesi whispered. Nilo heard. "Realize what?" "Nothing." Berenice smiled from the display. That made everything worse. Chapter 5. Humanity's Family Business. The atmospheric ballast deck lay beneath Ithkala's inhabited levels. Immense chambers inhaled and expelled gas from Velith's upper atmosphere, adjusting the city's position within the planet's gravitational tides. Wind roared through armored conduits. Lightning crawled across the chamber walls. Nilo led Veresi, Captain Eshek, Colonel Adu, and 8 human marines along a maintenance bridge suspended above a turbine shaft. The bridge trembled beneath their boots. Arun's soldiers waited at the far end. They had expected an assault. They had not expected the princess to walk at its front. Veresi removed her ceremonial veil. Her skin blazed gold and white beneath the storm lights. Royal affection, royal anger, the ancient colors of the house of Tain-Enhal. The Arun soldiers hesitated. Veresi raised her voice. "You have entered an Ithkari city under stolen authority." Wind pulled at her robes. "You have fired upon our ships, imprisoned our council, and threatened our families." The word families carried differently now. Nilo noticed. Veresi continued. "Lay down your weapons." An Arun officer stepped forward. "Prince Regent Karos commands this city." "He is not regent." "He will be." "No." The officer raised his rifle. Veresi did not move. Nilo did. He fired first. The bridge erupted. Human marines took cover behind turbine housings. Captain Eshek's royal guard returned fire. Veresi dropped beside Nilo. "You shot during my speech." "He was going to shoot during your speech." "I had not finished." "I noticed." Colonel Adu advanced beneath covering fire. Her marines used magnetic anchors to move along the chamber walls, approaching from angles the Arun defenders had not fortified. Ithkari architecture assumed gravity would remain downward. Humans treated direction as a suggestion. 2 marines crossed beneath the bridge. Another climbed the turbine support. A 4th opened a maintenance vent and disappeared inside it. The Arun line collapsed. Nilo reached the defense control. Its access panel had been fused shut. He listened. Veresi stared. "You are listening to a locked door." "Yes." "What does it say?" "Someone damaged the cooling loop." "You can hear that?" "No, I can hear the pump complaining." He removed an explosive bolt. Veresi's skin darkened. Again. "It worked last time." "That is not engineering. It is advanced persuasion." The bolt detonated. The panel opened. Nilo reached into smoke and twisted 2 manual valves. The defense spine began rerouting. Warning symbols appeared. Colonel Adu looked toward the tactical display. "Outer batteries still active." "Give me a minute." "We have 20 seconds." "That's a disappointing minute." Arun reinforcements entered the upper deck. Captain Eshek's guards engaged them. A pulse struck the bridge beside Veresi. Metal exploded. She fell. Nilo caught her arm. For an instant, she hung above the turbine shaft. Wind dragged at her body. Lightning flashed beneath her. Nilo's shoulder struck the bridge edge. He grunted. Veresi looked down into the storm. "This resembles our first meeting." "Better view." His grip slipped. Colonel Adu caught Nilo's belt. Captain Eshek seized Veresi's other arm. Together, they pulled her onto the bridge. Nilo crawled back to the defense panel. His hands were bleeding. Veresi followed. "You are injured." "Yes." "Stop." "No." "You sound like your mother." Nilo looked at her. That was cruel. He forced the final valve open. The defense spine shut down. Across Ithkala, the stolen batteries went dark. The Terran fleet entered. The daughter of Ash led the charge. Berenice Sarin brought her cruiser through Velith's rings at combat speed. Ice fragments struck its armor like artillery. Human destroyers followed in scattered formation. They did not attack the palace. They attacked everything around it. Arun warships turned to meet them. Terran vessels broke apart into independent groups. One destroyer released clouds of reflective debris. Another hid within Velith's radiation belts. Human fighters entered the gas giant's upper atmosphere, vanished beneath the clouds, and emerged behind the enemy formation. The Arun had prepared to fight a fleet. Humanity gave them weather. Berenice stood on the command deck while tactical officers reported. Western batteries neutralized. Royal Sanctuary remained sealed. Enemy cruiser moving toward the palace core. Prince Karos aboard. Confirmed. Berenice examined the trajectory. The cruiser was not attempting escape. It intended to ram the Royal Sanctuary. If Karos could not rule Ithkala, he would destroy its royal family and blame the humans. Intercept. We have no vessel in position. Berenice looked toward the palace. Nilo remained inside, so did Veresi. Her face did not change. Move us. The navigation officer turned. Admiral. Put the daughter of Ash between the cruiser and the palace. We will take the impact. Yes. The enemy vessel has 3 times our mass. I can count. The command deck accelerated. The human cruiser crossed the city's upper towers. The Arun ship approached. Warning alarms filled the bridge. Berenice opened a channel to Nilo. His face appeared. Blood marked his hands and one side of his coat. Mum. We're intercepting the cruiser. He looked at the tactical feed. No. It is already decided. You'll lose the ship. Possibly. You're on the ship. I had noticed. Nilo stepped closer to the camera. For the first time, Berenice saw fear break through his expression. Not fear for himself, for her, Mum. Berenice's voice softened. Your batteries are down. Yes. The princess. Safe. Veresi appeared beside him. Her light bands burned gold. Berenice saw them, understood enough. Good, the admiral said. The Arun cruiser filled the forward display. Distance collapsed. Then the gas giant moved, not Velith itself. A ballast plume erupted beneath Ithkala. Nilo had opened the atmospheric control valves. The floating city shifted sideways. The Arun cruiser's trajectory changed relative to the palace. It missed the royal sanctuary. The daughter of Ash struck its flank instead of its bow. Metal screamed across both ships. The Arun cruiser spun. Human destroyers surrounded it. Its weapons went dark. Berenice remained standing, barely. Nilo appeared on the damaged channel. You're welcome. The admiral gripped the edge of the tactical table. You altered the position of a city. A little. You could have destabilized Ithkala. I didn't. You did not know that. I suspected. Berenice closed her eyes. Veresi whispered to Nilo, you make the same expression. What expression? The one she makes before deciding not to kill you. Berenice heard. So, Nilo said, you two have definitely been discussing me. The channel failed before either could answer. The coup ended after 19 hours. Chancellor Amirkale surrendered. Prince Karos attempted to escape inside a ceremonial shuttle. A human cargo tug captured him by attaching a towing cable to the shuttle's landing gear and dragging it backward into the palace docking bay. The royal family was freed. The Arun fleet withdrew. Ithkala remained above the clouds, only slightly farther east than before. In the aftermath, Veresi entered the medical chamber aboard the daughter of Ash. Berenice sat on a treatment platform while a physician sealed a fracture along her ribs. Nilo stood nearby with both hands bandaged. Mother and son were arguing. You ignored a direct order, Berenice said. You did not give me a direct order. I said no. You say that constantly. Usually because of you. Veresi stopped in the doorway. Berenice noticed. Princess. Admirals. Nilo looked between them. No. Veresi's cheeks turned violet. Berenice's eyes brightened. Nilo pointed at his mother. What did she tell you? Nothing. He pointed at Veresi. What did you tell her? Nothing. That is the least convincing thing either of you has ever said. Berenice dismissed the physician. The doctor left quickly. The admiral folded her hands. Princess Veresi and I discussed a hypothetical human. Nilo stared. Veresi considered opening an airlock. Berenice continued. A maintenance worker, disrespectful, emotionally evasive, obsessed with broken machinery. Nilo's face changed. Humans did not glow. They did, however, become red. Veresi watched color spread across his cheeks, so did Berenice. This is deeply inappropriate, Nilo said. His mother nodded. It is. You encouraged her. I offered general advice. You knew. I suspected. Since when? Berenice looked toward Veresi's gold throat bands. Early. Veresi covered them with one hand. Nilo looked at her. The embarrassment in his face made her feel less alone. Then he began laughing, quietly at first. Veresi stared. You find this amusing? No. He continued laughing. Berenice smiled. Veresi's violet light brightened. Then, despite everything, she laughed too. The royal court later described the sound from the medical chamber as evidence of human psychological instability. Captain Eshek described it as overdue. Chapter 6. The House of Sarin. Veresi refused the arranged union with Prince Karos. The decision was simplified by his arrest, his failed coup, and the fact that his ceremonial shuttle remained attached to a human cargo tug. The royal council still objected. Tradition demanded that the heir of Tain-en-Hal enter a politically advantageous partnership. Varesi listened to their arguments from the restored chamber of high winds. The chamber walls remained cracked from the attack. Velith's violet clouds shone through temporary transparent seals. Her parents sat beside her. King Avaroon's skin glowed a weary blue. Queen Seliath carried white lines of restrained anger along both arms. The council spoke of trade, inheritance, continuity, perception. At last, Varesi rose. Her light bands became visible without a veil, gold, blue, white. I will not bind the future of Ithkala to someone I cannot trust. Counselor Thren of Seven raised his sensory fins. Your Highness, affection cannot govern succession. No. Varesi looked toward the repaired windows. But neither can fear. She did not announce a relationship with Nilo. There was not yet one to announce. They had spoken after the battle. The conversation had been awkward, humanly awkward. Nilo admitted that he cared for her. Varesi admitted she had told his mother before telling him. Nilo said this would haunt him for the rest of his life. Varesi considered that fair. They agreed to proceed slowly. Berenice informed them that slow proceedings did not require her supervision, then supervised them anyway. The Terran fleet remained at Ithkala throughout reconstruction. Human engineers repaired defense platforms. Ithkari crews studied Terran decentralized tactics. Joint patrols secured the rimward corridor. The alliance that diplomats had failed to negotiate formed naturally among soldiers, technicians, rescue crews, and palace workers. Nilo became chief systems liaison to the Royal Infrastructure Office. Varesi suspected the title had been invented to prevent him from entering restricted conduits without paperwork. It failed. She found him beneath the Garden of Ancestral Rain 3 months after the battle. The garden had reopened. Water once again fell upward. New silver trees grew on the repaired soil islands. Nilo lay inside a maintenance recess with half his body hidden behind a gravity panel. Something wrong? Varesi asked. Not yet. That is not reassuring. It's making a noise. Varesi sat beside the open panel. What kind? Expensive. She smiled. Nilo emerged. A thin scar crossed his cheek where the artificial tree had struck him during their first meeting. He looked toward her uncovered face. Gold, he said. Varesi's throat light brightened. You recognize it now. I study. You avoid formal lessons. They involve diagrams. You repair gravitic systems. Different kind of diagram. He sat beside her. For a moment they watched silver rain rise into the ceiling. Your mother has invited me to dinner, Varesi said. Nilo became motionless. When? Tomorrow. She didn't mention that. She asked whether Ithkari can digest onions. His eyes closed. That is not a diplomatic dinner. What is it? An interrogation with vegetables. Varesi's cheeks turned violet. I survived an Arun coup. This may be worse. Will your father attend? Nilo looked at her. My other mother. Varesi blinked. Humans possessed reproductive and family arrangements more varied than Ithkari diplomats had initially understood. Berenice's wife, Dr. Odetta Kosarin, served as director of a Martian medical habitat and had not yet visited Ithkala. Varesi felt new alarm. There are 2 of them. Yes. Does Dr. Kosarin command fleets? No. Varesi relaxed. She commands surgeons. The relaxation ended. Nilo smiled. Your skin is very informative. I am beginning to understand why humans conceal emotion. We don't. We just make people work for it. Varesi looked toward him. What are you feeling now? Nilo considered. Nervous. Why? Because you are a princess. You have never cared before. I cared. I pretended badly. What else? He looked toward the upward rain. Happy. Varesi's gold bands warmed. Nilo saw them. This time, neither looked away. Dinner aboard the Daughter of Ash became a minor diplomatic event despite Berenice's insistence that it remain private. The Royal Security Service sent 4 guards. The Terran Embassy sent a cultural advisor. Queen Seliath sent a bottle of Ithkari cloud wine. Captain Eshek sent a message wishing Varesi courage. Berenice cooked. This surprised everyone. The Grand Admiral who had broken the siege of Talisar evacuated the Nakor colonies and rammed an Arun cruiser with her command ship prepared roasted vegetables, spiced grain, and a human dish involving layers of pastry. Nilo entered the dining room and stared. "You cooked." "I am capable of domestic tasks." "You once burned water." "The pan was defective." Varesi arrived behind him. Berenice looked at her. "Princess." "Admirals." "At this table, Berenice." Varesi's throat glowed violet. Nilo removed his formal jacket. "Be careful, that's how it begins." The door opened again. Dr. Odetta Kosiren entered through a holographic projection transmitted from Mars. She was a tall woman with deep brown skin, close-cropped white hair, and the direct gaze of someone accustomed to cutting people open for their benefit. "So," Odetta said, looking at Varesi, "you're the princess." Varesi straightened. "Yes." Odetta looked toward Nilo. "He fell through a palace." "Technically, beneath one." "You raised him," Berenice said. "We both made mistakes." Nilo looked toward Varesi. "This is my life." The princess's gold bands brightened. "I like it." The room became quiet. Berenice looked down at the food to hide a smile. Odetta did not bother. Nilo's face turned red. Varesi finally understood human blushing. Romance was not dignified. He had been correct. Years later, Ithkari historians would identify the attack on the Palace of Nine Horizons as the beginning of the Terran-Ithkari alliance. Military historians emphasized the battle. Political scholars emphasized Varesi's refusal of the Arun marriage. Human commentators focused disproportionately on the Winter Garden conversation. No official transcript existed. This did not prevent increasingly inaccurate versions from spreading. In one, Varesi proposed marriage before learning Berenice's identity. In another, Berenice threatened to invade Ithkala if Nilo's feelings were hurt. In a third, Nilo hid inside a ventilation shaft for 3 days after the revelation. That version was invented by Colonel Seraphine Adu. Nilo denied it. No one believed him. The truth was smaller. An alien princess met a human who repaired things because broken systems bothered him. Months later, she met an older human woman cutting diseased branches from a winter tree. The princess saw a gardener, then an admiral. Only later did she realize she had been speaking to a mother. The galaxy often made that mistake with humanity. It met soldiers and saw weapons. It met engineers and saw tools. It met diplomats and saw governments. It forgot that every human arrived carrying relationships invisible to anyone who did not know how to look. Parents, children, siblings, friends, families inherited and families chosen. Those bonds complicated human decisions. They created fear, grief, embarrassment. Divided loyalties. They also made humans cross collapsing palaces, challenge fleets, and stand between danger and someone they loved. The Ithkari had believed visible emotion made their species uniquely honest. Humanity taught them that the strongest feelings did not always glow. Sometimes they looked like a junior engineer hearing an expensive noise. Sometimes they looked like a princess refusing a crown's expectations. Sometimes they looked like an admiral stepping in front of a ship 3 times the size of her own. And sometimes they looked like an older woman in a winter garden, smiling because a young alien had unknowingly trusted her with the fate of her son. Humanity's great secret was not that its people hid emotion. It was that they carried more of it than the galaxy knew how to see.